Interactive Sharks Postgame Show. This is Teal Town After Dark. Good evening, everyone. It is Monday night, February 10th, 2020. The Sharks looked like they had a promising game early on. Not really. Midway through, all right. And then the third, not so much. They lose this one 6-2. I know, understatement, right? 6-2 to the Calgary Flames. Welcome to this edition of Teal Town After Dark. This is your live and interactive Sharks post-game show. Right off the get-go, ALLing at the bat. Yes! Classic, just like the Sharks did tonight. Chat with us and fellow Sharks fans in our YouTube chat on the page or the app. You can follow us on the social, on the Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, SoundCloud, Reddit, and of course, join us on the Discord following the game, following the show. So, with us, a treat for you tonight: the return of Mr. Al Martinet. Al, first off, how have you been? Good to see you. What's been new with you?
Yeah, back from my 60-game suspension. I got the Torres treatment around here, I guess. I'll blame that on AJ, of course.
Oh, yes, sure.
But I've been good. Really busy at work, but this has been a rough season, but I've still been following a lot. But of course, things have been good.
Yeah, good to see you. Sad to see that you're back here with the Sharks losing this one as they did. Let's get at it, shall we? 2 minutes, 9 seconds in, you see Dylan taking a slash. A little shaky call. It sets up a power play, and of course, Milan Lucic gets a power play goal. What? First off, Lucic getting a goal, let alone a power play goal, that gets the Flames going. Then 34 seconds later, Reeder off of a bad turnover makes it 2-0. And then Zach Ronaldo, who was in the lineup just because another player was scratched due to the flu. Oh, that's just wonderful. 3-0. Your thoughts on the first three goals from Calgary, and were they really... I wasn't sure if they were really Dell's fault per se.
I more I think about it, it really wasn't. The first two goals, I'm gonna blame most of that on Simic. He had two chances to clear the puck, and I think that was a 5v5 opportunity. Sharks should have cleared it.
Yep.
And Calgary just kind of controlled our zone most of the time. Calgary basically controlled the Sharks' zone through the first three periods. This was their game, but we saw it last year, and we see it continually through this season. The Sharks just can't clear the puck, and I don't know if that's a thing on coaching, but the defense has just not been there.
And that's the thing throughout the season is even before with DeBoer and now with Bugner, you've seen some of these similar traits come in, and it's starting to get a little annoying there. So, we're getting some of the comments already. Hot Wheels 84, Flames are joining the Olympics, it seems. Yep. We'll get to that in a little bit for sure. And a lot of people asking, why is Doug Wilson's job safe? We could go on overall, but Jerry F. agreeing with you, Al. Simic had a bad game overall. And, it was one of those nights. And of course, it doesn't help that you're trying to renegotiate your deal right now. Tonight's definitely not one of the bright spots on it.
But at least Simic is not Kevin LeBlanc.
Ouch.
Just saying.
Ouch. Well, it gets better. It does get better before it got worse. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Be honest here. Erik Carlsson scores at 12:47. Yes, the Erik Carlsson. He spells his name the right way. He gets a shot on. He celebrates his sixth of the season. He's already doubled the total of his goal input from last year, so it's something, right?
It's something. I thought it was a good punchback, but I thought like the most disappointing, the play that kept me kind of wondering, like we've seen this time and time from Erik Carlsson, where on the defensive end, I'm talking about the third goal that in the period, he'll just stop skating, and I don't know if that's just him just kind of playing the puck, looking for the offensive opportunity, but there have been times where he just stops skating, and I don't know, man. I'm a fan of his talent, but it's just not there all the time, though.
And that's the tough part is that the why you get so many people hating on EK65 is that he can have his flashes, but at the same time he can be lackadaisical. Uh, Either way, 6 goal a season for EK65 starts a potential comeback going for the Sharks. They would be down 3-1 after one period of play. The second period, things started off a little iffy there. Minute 43 in, Lucic takes another run at Mario Ferraro. Or excuse me, as we learned from the broadcast, Mario Ferraro.
It's Maria.
It's a Mario. Hockey dokie. I mean, and I think it was another Twitter feed saying this is the second time he's taken a run, checking from behind. Nason takes exception to that. He gets in his face. I don't think there were too many punches, but of course, Lucic gets to sit back and laugh because he only gets 2 for roughing, and frickin' Nason gets called for a double minor. Then nothing comes out of that. Then Anderson takes an interference call. That leads to a power play goal for Brent Burns.
Yep.
His 12th of the season from Meyer and Erik Carlsson. All of a sudden, and the Sharks played with some swagger in the second period here, Al. They were coming back within 3-2. They were dictating the puck possession and everything. What did you like from that second period?
I mean, I just liked how they attacked the puck. Didn't really just circle around the blue line. That's something the Sharks kind of always do. I mean, yes, the Sharks have probably the best top 4 defensive pair, defensive pair. We know about the defensive miscues, but on the offensive end, things should be looking pretty good. But attacking the net, causing 2-on-1 opportunities. I think just the forward depth from Calgary was just a little bit too much. Thorian was a -1 or -2. LeBanc was a -2. Yeah, it's just the bottom 6. The story of the year is just the bottom 6 just keeps on derailing the team.
And the tough part is then you see what Calgary did tonight, and all 3 forwards on their fourth line scored a goal. Not exactly what you want to have the reversal of that. Although I do love having Nason on this club. I think he's been a great pickup for them from Pittsburgh off the waiver wire. But things looking good. 3-2. They're only down by 1. They're coming with the chances, and then the backbreaker Jankowski, his third from Lucic and Hanifin. Lucic with a 2-point night. Sends it to 4-2 midway through the second. Still, the Sharks, I thought, persevered with plenty of chances. Kane would take a stupid elbowing call near the end of the period,
Yeah.
which would lead down to the parade of calls in the third. 14 seconds, and you get Dylan tripped up. Kachuk, I think, went down fairly easy. In fact, we saw Bob Bugner going with, saying he effing dived. Of course, they made him pay dearly because who comes back to score a highlight reel goal and disrespects Aaron Dell and the Sharks? Matthew Kachuk.
He hurdled it.
Oh, it was pretty. Well, I'll give that to him. That was a pretty move there.
Yep. I will I will respect a filthy goal when I see it.
Yeah. The second power play goal that the Sharks given up on this night. Then 11-12, Meyer would take a tripping call. Gaudreau with the dive there. That one was pretty obvious. Kane would take a tripping call there. A little more embellishment from the Flames a little bit there. Nothing would happen. Nason would also then get a 10-minute misconduct, and according to what we hear from the locker room, Nason said he got a game misconduct for laughing at the referee.
Okay.
Are we gonna get that bad now that you laugh at somebody that we're getting a 10-minute misconduct?
This is just payback for a hand on the puck.
Oh my God, let's get over it already. I mean, we've gone through how many screwed up calls now? I mean, jeez. And then at 14:08, Backlund would get the power play goal from Mangiapane and Anderson. 3 power play goals against tonight. The Sharks' penalty kill has given up 9 in their last 10 games. Remarkably, their current 85.6% still leads the league because they have been that damn good this season. But like Georgi Velinov saying, how about those embellishments tonight?
I must not have seen it. Sorry, I must not have seen it. Yeah,
there were some out there that were really bad, and the one that Bugner on Dylan, but the one I thought more than anything, the Meyer one was a little iffy there. It's it is what it is. A lot of calls about the officiating.
I thought the Sharks were their worst enemy. I thought Kane had a bad game today. He had 3 penalties, and I thought they were all fair.
Yeah.
The Sharks were 3 for 6 on a penalty kill. That's not good. That's just not good. Yeah, they were 1 for 1 on a power play, but that is just physically draining. Being on that penalty kill for close to 20 minutes. So
yeah, and that's the tough part is when you are 3 for 6 and virtually playing an entire period shorthanded. It's tough. Getting some comments from Bugner now. Every time we got momentum, we took a penalty, but the same Flames are going down very easily. Not the reason we lost, but ...
Why does every coach do that?
I don't want to comment anymore on the refs. We didn't play hard enough and didn't execute. I thought we were engaged, but every mistake we made went bad. And yeah. And we have to throw this away and get ready for Winnipeg. Okay. Thank you, Coach. That one. But
off to Cincinnati.
Yeah, we're off to Cincinnati. That's what we got to do. We got to throw this away and get ready for Winnipeg. But I mean, there were times, Al, where this team looked engaged and they looked like they were. You could feel the confidence coming back. They were going to be able to come back down from 3-0, and this was without a 5-minute major, for crying out loud.
Yep.
So,
I mean, I thought the top 6 forwards were playing pretty well, but like I said before, I think the bottom 6, this is the slowest I think I've seen Marleau ever skate. Old age has definitely caught it up to him. Thorin, I think, is way past his prime. I mean, of course, that's the case, but he's not coming back from his 2016 levels when he was second team All-Star. That's just not going to happen. The forward depth is just the main issue with this team, and I don't see the Sharks being buyers, especially where they are in the playoff chase. The only thing I see the Sharks doing is getting draft picks, which, dilly, sorry, Rocket, might be the one you might trade out.
Yeah, and that's the tough one, and you hope that they can get something for him as well. I mean, that's the big key one, I think, in the long term. You might get some other ones that might get you some picks, but it'll be interesting to see what happens now. Honestly, I was going to come into this game if the Sharks had won this one. If the Sharks won this one, all of a sudden you're like, Doug Wilson's like, well, what am I supposed to do now? It's like, oh my goodness, Gaudreau We know we have to play a full 60 and can't lose battles. We know we have to play, but it has to start from the poke drop. Yeah, we've been saying that for over 2 seasons now. When you're allowing goals the first 5 minutes, and it happened again tonight. I mean, we got away from it for a while for the goal call, for allowing goals for in the first 5 minutes of a period or a game. Now we're starting to get back into it. Now the PK is having some issues. It's like, oh my goodness, what do you do? You know,
Yeah, I don't think this is a criticism on coaching. I think just the locker room environment is just not there. Um, you know, compared to last year, you had Pavelski, Couture, Hurdle, and then you had additional forward or center depth from Thornton.
right?
Like Thornton is the last center from last year, or yeah,
He was a third
you
line
had
center
Thornton,
last year.
yeah, and then Goodrow was probably the fourth. Yeah,
Goodrow was either centering the fourth or on the wing for the fourth line.
and then like this year, Goodrow has probably been centering the first line. Like that's how bad things have been.
And that tells you how crazy the tough season has been. You talk
Yeah.
about either it's the development. Granted, you're seeing guys that have been contributing pretty nicely. Alexander True looked pretty cool. Uh, you know, uh, Latunov scored his first NHL goal. Uh, even EK65 said, they're bringing some spark to this club. But where was that at the beginning of the year when PDB was looking for that in training camp? Spent a whole lot of time trying to see some guys come out for that, and it never came to fruition.
Mm.
So it'll be an interesting one to see what happens, and you're definitely going to see a lot of CUDA players get a call up. Down the final 25 games left. Um,
I don't know. Like I have a feeling that for Doug Wilson, I think he might just play it out. Might just keep Dylan on the roster. And I know that might not be the thing that Sharks fans want, but I think if you're looking at Doug Wilson's position, you don't want to sell a tank job to an ownership group that's frankly never gone through that.
and for that matter, they really haven't done a full on rebuild, even after year one. My goodness, it was bad. Year two, it was always spot and fill,
Yep.
and it remains to be seen. And even DW said at recent Ice Insights that I remember AJ was at. We're not a rebuild team. Um, and unfortunately, I don't think in this market where it's competitive between the clubs themselves, they won't admit that. But honestly, let's be real here. You put your money up against the Warriors and their new arena. You put your money up against the Niners and their success now and a new
Yeah.
stadium. You have other options now. They're not just duds in not so shiny places. So
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I forget who did it, but there's a video on I think it was SB Nation on the Detroit collapse after the last 10 years. Um, you can look at the same parallels of keeping the same group, sign older guys, and always keeping the same, always going for the cup. But like, we know this group is just not going to do it. And everyone, like, we have to be going crazy here. We know this group is not going to do it. Like, the defensive core is just too old. I, yeah.
and if the right move comes about, then you go for it. I wouldn't be excuse me. I wouldn't be surprised. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if you know if they like Jumbo goes to be traded maybe to like Boston, like everybody keeps talking about. You go and get that trade, and then he comes back, kind of like Ricky Henderson did with the A's in the mid '90s.
Hmm.
You get traded to Toronto, then he comes back the following year, or then he gets traded to somewhere else, but then he comes back.
I don't
So
know. Like, I don't think Thorin's ever really gonna be. I know Thorin came back to win with the Sharks. I don't think he wanted to win with any other team, and I don't know. Maybe Colorado again. Honestly, that's a real possibility,
yeah.
but they are stacked, like across the board, defensive alignment. And the East is probably better than the West this year, just like last year.
Well, everybody's saying that, but at the same time, I think it's more competitive. I mean, when you have the likes of Detroit and Buffalo and Ottawa in your conference or in your division, yeah, you can pick up points here and there. So JF Turner mentioning bring mediocre will not sell tickets either. It's time to rebuild, in my opinion.
Okay.
Or I'm sure he meant being mediocre will not sell tickets.
Yeah.
Dito, you make deals to save his job and mortgage the future. I can't see him mortgaging the future now. I think it's now time to get whatever you can get. But
Mortgaging the future. Yeah, I don't know about that. I think Dell has been great. I think he's been really, reliable. But I'll say this about Jones too. Like, this defensive alignment, this defensive foundation is just not there. Like, whatever happened after Paul Martin left, I don't know what happened.
yeah, well, there wasn't much defensive depth. I mean, Joachim Ryan looked promising for a moment, and then you only played him 3 minutes and 21 seconds in the thing.
Let's be generous.
Let's be honest here, and honestly, to see what Mario Ferraro has done this season, although I think he's starting to get a little more fatigue, just saying.
Yeah.
I mean, we kind of expected that, but hey, rock on with what you've done this season. You have no shame in what you've been doing. I would love for you to get goals tonight. And I know there was one thing I kind of gift during intermission that he was pinching in, but the guys didn't support him. No one covered at the point. No one was going for the rebound. There's lots of miscommunication going on right now, and you can't have that whatsoever for that going on. So
I like how Rowdy Bush put, as of right now, we don't have future with no picks.
Right? We don't have a future with no picks. We need to say it 3 times. No. Yes, we know. In fact, let's break out the simulator. Why not? Right? Let's break out the simulator.
I mean, I think if you're a smart hockey fan, or at least you should probably know by now. The Sharks, there's only about 22 games left.
25.
25. The Sharks would need to have the 22 out of 25, and then win those games in regulation, because they can't have any of those points being, counted over. No overtime. Yeah, that's yeah. You could just go to Money Puck, right?
I was going to Shang Peng, our good friend from another website. Every Shark who came out to talk tonight, Marlowe, Goodrow, Nason, Shimmick, and Bugner, said Flames went down easy, one or more whistles. They were all clearing Holy Mac frustration. It wouldn't surprise me, but that's a tough part to swallow.
Yeah, Sharks got outplayed.
Yeah.
Bottom line.
All right, you ready? Let's do the draft simulator. Sharks currently sit 5 in the number 5 spot for the worst team in the league. Detroit, LA, Ottawa, New Jersey are behind them. We're simulating. Come on. Oh, they go down to number 6. All right. We'll take that. DW can keep his job that way. Ottawa would get the number 6 overall pick.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, we gave up the number 6 overall pick in one of the deepest drafts in recent memory.
And we don't have a lot of picks in this draft anyways.
Remember when Doug was trading up to get draft picks in the weakest draft last year?
Oh gosh, or let alone traded down to pick. I can't think of his name. Nikolai Goldobin. Yep. So Nason
Yeah.
on Lucic on Ferraro. That's back-to-back games. He had the same hit, same player, same everything. Something's got to change. Can't let a guy do that. Luckily, Mario didn't get hurt. Completely agree.
Yep. I'll
Uh,
agree with you.
yeah. Welcome those of you who finished watching Brody and Curtis to Teal Town After Dark. We appreciate your support all the time. Do us a favor, hit that like. We only got 12 likes. Come on, people. Let's make that happen. You got 41 watching. Let's get that up to 20. I think that's the amount of. Oh, and Mueller. That's it. Mueller 2 in 2013. Let's get that to 20 likes, people. Let's go. So, so yeah, there's not much to really talk about this one. You had your two goal scorers, are probably your two guys that you pay the most for that aren't hurt, EK65 and Brent Burns. So you'll give them credit on that. Burns with his 12th, Karlsson with his 6th. Again, like we mentioned, I think going into the night, I think the Sharks were like 71% on the penalty kill since Pavs made his return. I don't know what Pavs did to the Sharks penalty kill while he was gone when he came back, but that's just messed up, Pavs. You don't have to do that, So
I think in many ways, like if the deeper this, the hole is for the Sharks, maybe the tendency for I don't want to say for the All-Stars, but for the first, or maybe for some of the players, just to essentially just ride it out, not pull it the full effort every game. You might see some real sloppy play from the Sharks, more sloppy than usual. Maybe we're already seeing that.
Yeah, and that's the tough part is that, and I'll say this again. I hate to sound like a record player, but they were in this game. 5 minutes into the second period, they were down by just one. You saw them carrying the pressure, and it just went to crap. And then we see all these stupid penalties. Were they all legitimate ones? That remains to be seen. But nonetheless, you got to stop it. And lately, you haven't been stopping it, and that's the tough part. That's
wasn't there a shot that hit off the post, or it looked like it got pretty close?
Something like it was pretty close. I think it was the Burns one when he was coming down, and I think he was trying to cut back on his shot. So, yep. And let's see, Georgie. Realistically, how many draft picks can the Sharks get this year? Are they going for Georgiev? That remains to be seen. If you go for Georgiev, that means you're gonna have to send somebody back the other way, and who knows who else. I mean, do you send it to Dylan? Do you retain salary for Dylan? Do you send a pick with Dylan to get something back to get Georgiev back, or to get something back? That remains to be seen. And you are now 2 weeks away from the trade deadline. Something's got to give. If you do sit back, like you said, Al, if you do sit back and everything, and you get no additional picks, you don't get to go to the playoffs, and then you let Ottawa get like a top 10 pick, because honestly, let's be real,
it's gonna happen.
Top 10 picks.
Yeah.
It's an absolute nightmare and disaster. So.
Yeah. This season has been the worst case scenario for the Sharks. Some of it we could have saw a lot coming. Forward depth is definitely an issue, but I definitely see how the Sharks are going to climb out of it in any trade possible. If you just look at how the cap is working against them, Brent Burns is, I would say, if you're looking at the big contributors like Vlasic, no movement clause. Believe Brent Burns has a no movement clause,
A
but
three-team no trade. He
13
has
no
a list of
trade.
3 teams. Yeah.
But um, you know, Erik Carlsson, no movement clause. Um, I believe Jones has a no movement clause too.
He's also got a 3-team no trade.
13. But still, like it's extremely difficult to find, you know, partners when you have that type of exceptions to that. Um, it's tough.
Yep.
I definitely think you can you can retool around these current players, but Burns is probably the most likely to be moved. Depending on where is the question.
Yeah. And that's the thing in Georgia. I'm hoping I'm saying your name right, and I'm apologize I don't. If it is really deep draft this year, the Sharks should go for 1 first rounder or for example 3 second rounders. Yeah, I mean it's a possibility. You can go after that with what you have. I mean, do you create a market for Brendan Dillon? Do you create a market for Milker Karlsson? Heck, do you create a market for Joe Thornton? Maybe Stefan Nason? As much as I would like for him to be here, he's also UFA at the end of the year. Do you see if somebody wants to take a swing at a long term contract? I mean, my goodness. If you could get some of these guys off the season, that'd be great.
Yeah, when it comes to Joe Thorin, if there's a trade that's works out, I think Doug Wilson would probably go to Joe Thorin and be like, "Hey, we have this ready to go. If you want to be traded, it's up to you."
Yep.
It's entirely up to him. But I don't think it's ever going to happen. I think the Ray Bork thing would probably be the last time we'll ever see that.
Yep. And AJ, I completely agree with you this whole time. Said a lot this season. DW overrated the youth and expected too much from the guys who hadn't played in an NHL game. And for that matter, guys who had successful seasons last season to repeat their success this season.
He's looking at Timo Meier, for example.
Yep. Kevin LeBanc.
I don't know. I was still not sold on Timo. I thought so. Timo is the big question, what you do about him. Because in a couple of years, that $10 million kick in. So I think he might be another one you might float, see what you might get. But that's another one you try to build around Timo just to see. He's young. He's been in the system for a while. But at this point, if your main goal is to rebuild for next year, you're probably going to keep 90% of the people on this team. And that's going to piss off a lot of Sharks fans.
Well, and that's the problem is that where are you going to get these guys to replace them with? If Jumbo and Patty aren't coming back, or at least that's not your plan, who are you going to have here? If something that's not here with the Barracuda right now, if they were here right now with the Barracuda, there's no reason they weren't here opening night, or you're not needing to sign Patrick Marleau. You're not, you're not picking up Stefan Nason off of waivers. So, but yeah, if you give up on Timo and LeBanc, that sends more shockwaves. And if that's the case, you better get a boatload for giving up essentially the future already.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what you do, but you have to really look at Vlasic, Brent Burns, and then start from there. I know there was a lot of talk in the offseason about him, going back to Montreal in the offseason. And Montreal was a big player during the offseason. They're definitely one of their big, weaknesses is their defensive core. Yeah, they just lost Shea Weber, and I don't think they're much of a playoff contender. But if they're in the buyer market, maybe you might be able to get through that 3-team no moving clause.
Yep. Yeah, and AJ saying Timo's only 23. You definitely play out his short contract. If he doesn't work out, bounce back, his contract is quite movable. It is, and then down the road, that cap will go up if you believe Hockey Jerk. That might get to 100 mil by in like 4 or 5 years, especially once the Sockeyes or the Kraken come to town.
That's true, but in that last year, his contract goes up to 10 million.
Yep, and that's the tough.
So I don't think he's worth a $10 million contract. He's definitely not that, but that's a couple of years from now.
Yep, for sure. Chaz Malmberg, congrats on your team's victory tonight, and thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Tell your friends. We appreciate this. We do this after every single game, so thank you for enjoying us sulk in the Sharks' loss here. Let's enjoy in some other scores, shall we?
Who won? Who lost?
Have the goddamn common courtesy to give him a reach around.
Laurel, that's for you, hon. Coyotes, the Desert Dogs beat the Canadiens 3-2. Yes, Ilya Kovalchuk didn't score a point tonight for Montreal, which is a surprise lately. Florida, who will be coming to the Shark Tank next week, lose 4-1 to the Philadelphia Flyers this evening. Bobrovsky having up and down, even though the Panthers are fighting for a playoff spot. The Islanders 5-3 over the Capitals. They definitely did not. They did not get to celebrate any Alex Ovechkin goals. He's still at 698 on this one. Was it Anna Kendrick's future boyfriend Anthony Villiers? 2 goals on the night though. Tampa wins in overtime, 2-1 over the Blue Jackets. Merskalainen's was in net. And Nikita Kucherov with both goals in that one for Tampa Bay. The Vancouver Canucks, that's right, the Vancouver Canucks beat the Predators 6-2 in this one. Vancouver now at 67 points and sitting on top in the first place in the Pacific. And the Sharks lose 6-2 in that one. That's your quick reach around on the evening for that.
Yep.
So
where are we at? Where are we at on the standings?
Oh dear God, really? Well, Anaheim
killing me softly.
That's right. I'll spare you the karaoke singing. That's for the end of the season party. In the West, you have St. Louis, Colorado, and Dallas in the top 3 of the Central. Vancouver leads by 3 points over Edmonton. In the Pacific, Vegas is tied with Edmonton, but they've played 2 more games. Calgary right now holds the first wild card spot by a scotch just because they played 2 more games than Edmonton. Winnipeg holds down the second one. Arizona is just a point back of Winnipeg for that second spot, and then it goes down there from there. The Sharks now at 52 points in the campaign. They sit currently just 11 points out of a playoff spot. Anaheim's been on a quick run there, so that'll be it for that one. But you have Arizona at 63, Nashville 59, Minnesota 58, Chicago 58, Anaheim 53, San Jose at 52. So, it's a tough one to take tonight. So,
yeah.
It's tough. A win tonight, and you could start maybe thinking, you're telling me there is a chance. But the Pacific, it's unfortunate that there will be no California teams going to the playoffs. But the Pacific, as much as people are saying that it's weak, it's definitely going to be competitive coming down the stretch.
And Arizona might not make it the way things are looking.
To quote Hockey Jerk, you hate to see it. And
yeah.
his Yotes, that's not good. That's not good at all. But think about it. Arizona's at 63. They're on the outside looking in. They're only 4 points back to leading the division. So Yep, that's a different one there. So the Sharks, they enjoyed their 1-game homestand. Now they go back on the road for a couple to take on supposedly my two favorite teams, Minnie and Winnie. They start in Winnipeg on Valentine's Day. Who schedules a Valentine's Day game? I mean, come on. Nothing says I love you like going to Winnipeg, Manitoba, right? Am I right, people?
Yep.
That's a 4:00 start, and we'll be back with you following that. And then the following day, the 15th, they will take on the Minnesota Wild at 2 p.m. So the Pacific is weak. How many East teams would be at the top of the Pacific Division? Yeah, well, be nice if they played Detroit all the time too, right? Am I right? Am I right? Wait, what am I saying? We get shut out by Detroit. So what are we talking about?
And Detroit's been playing a lot better too.
Yeah.
So.
Well, exactly. So, yeah, the land that Wi-Fi forgot. Yeah. Geez. So, what do you expect for Friday in Winnipeg, besides a bunch of chocolate heart boxes?
Hopefully, Wi-Fi. Okay, I'll stop with that.
Ouch.
You know what? I definitely expect Jones to be in net. I think it's been the last 4 games for Dell. So, as much as I hate to say it, it's Jones time in that. I don't know if it's an audition for another team. See if you can float out that, but Dell's probably the most likely to be moved. But at this point, you're really not playing for playoffs. You're playing for more just consistency at this point, and milestones potentially.
Yeah.
I don't know what's left for Marlowe at this point or what's reachable. But I know for Thorne, there's some he could possibly reach. But the Sharks really need to go on a 6 to 7 game stretch, and you're really hoping that this was the start of it.
Yeah. Patrick Tyler, I mean, Winnipeg is only 350 miles from experiencing Regina on Valentine's Day. Yep, we went there on Valentine's Day. Yes, Jerry F's adding the no trade capital of the world. Hey, now, for sure. All right. Well, with that, we will close this out. This edition on Teal Town After Dark. Al's like, I'm never coming back again. I took 4 months off, and this is what I come back to. I have to deal with a guy who's got 2 black eyes and a big old bump on his forehead, and the Sharks losing by 4 goals. Oh, I know.
How am I going to explain that?
But Al, it is great to see you. Glad you're doing all right. Your final thoughts on where the people can find you.
Look, it's been a rough season. I think everyone would agree on that. Final thoughts, really. It's not really Jones or Dell's fault. It's more or less the defensive miscues. And unless something dramatically happens, don't play the goaltenders. This is a symptom of something larger. But you can find me on Twitter at Al Martinet. I always talk Sharks. And I'll see you sometime sooner than 3 months.
I hope so.
I think the last time I was on, it was Montreal. And we won. But that feels such a distant memory that I don't know what a Sharks win anymore. It's, yeah.
Right? I know. In case you missed anything and you want to watch this again, check us out at tealtownusa.com or your favorite podcatcher. I might say the podcast version is, twice as good looking because I'm not right now. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify.
Don't go near a pool.
Yeah, right. No kidding, right? iHeartRadio, you name it, you love it, and always at tealtownusa.com. Yes, folks, it's February. Don't go anywhere near a pool. I am at PuckGuy14 on the Twitter and Instagram. We'll be back with you on Valentine's Day, following Sharks and Jets, the finale to the West Side Story series. Oh boy, can we pull this one out? Can we have a nice weekend? We're back-to-back wins, and of course, we'll be back. So, We appreciate you watching and everything. Make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Check out all our content. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't. Thank you to the 24 who liked us. Thank you to the almost 40 people watching, and to the nearly 1,935 subscribers. Thank you so much. We appreciate you all the time. With that, the conversation continues on Discord. And until Friday night, keep it real, keep it teal, keep it real, teal. Have a great night, everyone. We will see you Friday.